In a bid to stem the tide of criminality, particularly that of transnational crimes like smuggling of illegal goods, illegal movement of persons, kidnapping and terrorism, illegal importation of drugs, arms and agricultural products into Nigeria, the federal government ordered the closure of the country's land borders to encourage farmers and the Eat What We Grow initiative of the federal government. In the meantime, to enhance bilateral relations with Benin Republic after the opening of some strategic borders in 2020, the Nigerian government on Tuesday, 12th of September 2023, announced that Nigerian importers willing to use the ports in Cotonou can do so now because there will be an opportunity for them to pay duties on goods that are liable for payment. How is this development an advantage to Nigeria? And what are the other bilateral agreements embedded in this agreement? These are some of the issues that we will be discussing as we examine the topic Nigeria-Benin bilateral trade, matters arising on Nigerian-bound goods. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am your carrier, Clinton. Now, joining me in the studio to discuss this issue is CSC Abdullahi Maiwada, PRO Nigeria Customs Service. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Also joining us via Zoom from Lagos is Dayo Dumoye, a trade consultant and facilitator. It's a pleasure to have you with us on the program.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to join you in this program. I am elated to be here. Thank you.
All right, I'll start with you, Abdullahi. Tell us all about this agreement with the Benin Republic.
Let me start by making some clarification about the agreement that took place yesterday on the 12th of September 2023. If we recall that the President, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces Federal Republic of Nigeria, appointed CGC in acting capacity Bashir Adewale Adeni on the 19th of June 2023. And part of the policy thrust of the CGC is on three stands. Let me use this stands because a tripod sits on three stands. On one, collaboration, consolidation, and also innovation. Those are the three policy thrusts of the acting Comptroller General of Customs. And the first thing he did is to embark on extensive consultation both within Nigeria and abroad. Fortunately, he was appointed while attending the WCO policy meeting taking place in Brussels. So it was an opportunity for him to consolidate, have discussions on the way forward in terms of trade, improvement, trade facilitation, as well as revenue collection. Now he moved around Lagos, interacted with stakeholders, major stakeholders in Lagos, and also customs formations. And on this note, he visited the Benin Republic on the 24th of July 2023, barely a month after his appointment. And there was a kind of very, very extensive engagement with the administration in Benin Republic. It was a very wonderful engagement, and some issues were brought up during that engagement. We brought in stakeholders, there are engagement, and they mentioned some of their concerns on what they think the system needs to do to improve in trade between the two countries. It's a two-way, it's not one-sided. So based on that, some issues were highlighted, such as the issues of excessive adherence to the ETLS, ECOWAS ETLS, that is ETLS ECOWAS scheme, which has to do with liberalization scheme, that has to do with movement of goods and services within the ECOWAS countries. The issue of charges on transit goods, the issues of the issue you mentioned that has to do with facilitation of laissez-passer between the two countries, and the issue of harmonizing the list of products that are prohibited within those two countries. Then the major issue which I need to clarify is that it is a process that has been kick-started that has to do with the process of clearing your goods that are destined for Nigeria or destined for Cotonou, for Benin Republic. It's a two-way something. So the process have started yesterday, and we hope part of the submission of the technical committee that discuss all this issue is that we are hopeful that this will be implemented by January 2024. However, a technical committee will be set up to look at how we are going to achieve this, because you need a lot of a kind of intervention, interlink between the two systems, Nigerian system and also the Benin system, to be able to co-opt it. There will be a kind of interoperability of those systems so that you can clear your goods that are bound for Nigeria or the goods in Nigerian seaport that are bound for Benin Republic. So a technical committee will commence on the 24th of September 2023. We set up to look into how the feasibility and realizing this noble objectives.
Okay, clearing goods that are bound for Nigeria, like clearing in their own ports. You're talking about now, talking about clearing goods from their own ports, goods that are bound for Nigeria.
In summary, it's kind of development of framework for customs clearance of Nigerian-bound goods at the port of Cotonou and vice versa. I don't know whether you understand.
Yeah, I get it now.
It's a framework that will be developed on how to clear your goods that are in Cotonou port and they are bound to be in Nigeria, or how to clear your goods in Nigerian port and bound to be meant for Benin Republic. Okay. Those are the two frameworks that we are working on, and it's sure the implementation is proposed to start in 2024, by January 2024. Now the technical committee need to sit down, the ICT unit of the Nigeria Customs Service and that of Benin to sit down and create links, interface between those two systems. If you recall earlier, there was a time we decided to do what we call interconnectivity, because the joint border post we have in Semikraka border is the essence of that joint border post is to have interconnectivity between the two systems. It's a model that ensures trade facilitation, whereby two systems come together and there will be seamless movement of goods in and out of those two countries. Okay.
Now, Adedayo, Mr. Adedayo, now how can these, or how will these help the Nigerian economy, or what impact will it have on the Nigerian economy?
Great. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here once again. I'm going to share my perspective in three different ways. First, as a Pan-Africanist, second, as a trade facilitator, and third, as a Nigerian with great concern. So I start as a Nigerian with great concern. I belong to a group, African Private Policy, African Customs Policy Network, and immediately I shared this news. There were so many back and forth talk around concerns. Is this good for Nigeria? Why is Nigeria borrowing port administration and terminal usage in Cotonou when we could have been doing it by ourselves? All those concerns were raised. But that is normal, and that is to be expected. Nigerians should be concerned about relinquishing jobs for freight forwarders and other things like that to Beninoans. But from a trade facilitator point of view, port efficiency has been an issue in Nigeria. And if we can borrow ports to use, that will reduce the inefficiency that we have in our ports, or that will reduce the wait time, the demurrage, and the cost, general cost of port handling and port charges in Nigeria, then this is a welcome development, because, I mean, there's so many importers and exporters who are crying under the pain of having to wait incessantly, unnecessarily, when they could have easily just dropped the goods in the Benin port, get it cleared in, customs bring it, and still do their job. Okay, so the distinguished gentleman in the studio has already mentioned that this is a two-way street. So for a trade facilitator, it's a welcome development. It's something that the acting Custom General Controller General should be commended for. because they took the initiative, they understand the pain of the people, they consulted widely, and they took the decision. Actually, Benin Port has always been a very close border port to Nigeria, which a lot of Nigerians use, especially those who are importing cars. But that shouldn't be the only case. Considering also that we are signed on to AFCFTA, and AFCFTA is all about trade facilitation, I believe we should be thinking of how we will welcome this idea and use it for the benefit of the larger West African countries, not only Benin, not only Nigeria, not only Lagos, but other ports should emulate it. We should look for how we are going to also synergize Calabar Port with the ports in Douala, so that whatever it is we are doing in Africa, there is no boundaries between us. That is my standpoint, and I'm already migrating into the Pan-Africanist perspective. Essentially, in East Africa and in other African countries, we have been considering the template of one-stop shop, one-stop border post, where you only clear your goods in one border. You don't need to clear it in Benin. Then when it gets to Nigeria again, you clear it, because all these are delays. I mean, 99.9% of most goods that you will clear through ports, okay, are for, civilian consumption and things like that. And the gentleman in the, sorry, I didn't get his name, I forgot his name. He has already mentioned that there is interconnectivity, or they are working towards interconnectivity. Honestly, those are the frameworks and those are the technology and tools that we need to make this work, because it doesn't make any sense for an importer or an exporter that when I'm exporting things to Benin, it's going to be checked in the Nigerian side, I'll pay for it. Then when it gets to Benin side again, I'm going to pay for it. So this, for me, as a Pan-Africanist, as a trade facilitator, is a welcome development. Although there are concerns, and there will always be concerns, but as long as the technical aspect is considered and it's the two parts are open to a win-win situation, then eventually Nigerians are going to be able to see that this is for their benefit, and this should be welcomed not only between Benin and Nigeria, but also between Nigeria and Cameroon, and between Nigeria and Niger. This, for me, as I stand right now, I think working with the next step will be for us to see how the consultants and the other people who are involved, technology-wise, framework-wise, will be able to guide and work with the two parties to be able to ensure that all these things are ticked and all the boxes are ticked for this to be a success. And if it succeeds, I believe it will be a success, a resounding success story that will be copied all around ECOWAS. So that is my perspective at this moment.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take a short break now. The discussion will continue after the break. Do stay with us.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow, under digital economy, for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we are talking about Nigeria-Benin bilateral trade matters arising. Of course, my guests are still here with me, a gentleman in the studio, and of course, another one via Zoom. Now, Abdullah, you heard what some of the issues he raised there. Now, are we actually borrowing ports now?
I think the context of using the word borrowing ports depends on the context of the user. And we can see it from different prisms. I see it as a trade facilitation tool, because part of the issues that have been discussed during this deliberation, the point to raise is the issue of transit. Now, there are international procedures for transit of goods. Goods can be imported via Cotonou port, but destined for Nigeria. With it, there are international protocols required for transit. You are not expected to unseal the containers. They are supposed to be conveyed in the same way they were brought into the country, and so many other things. So part of the recommendations by Nigeria is integrating Nigeria into what we call interconnected system for management of goods in transit. Now, Benin Republic has that we call the SIGMAT. So Nigeria is not there, but we are working towards connecting Nigeria into that system, that SIGMAT system, because as I'm talking to you, Benin Republic is there, Burkina Faso is there, Cote d'Ivoire is there, Ghana is there, Guinea is there, Mali is there, Niger is there, Senegal and Togo. So part of the request, because is a two-way recommendation, they bring in their demand, we bring in our demand, and we'll sit down and reconcile. That's what we call negotiation. And this negotiation is in the interest of both nations. How can we prosper in terms of trade? So I think transit, part of this is what they do is sometimes is you transit, bring goods, transload into another system, which is not part of the requirement. And charging duty on transit goods, those are some of the issues that were raised during the discussion. And those are points that each administration will work on. For instance, the Beniners talk about the flow of checkpoints across Lagos-Abidjan corridor, firstly from Lagos Mile 2 to Semekrake. And on this note, the CGC, part of his point, has decided that some of these checkpoints relating to customs should be collapsed for strategic reasons. Secondly, he met with the Inspector General of Police and requested that he should also do the same with the police within that corridor. And the Inspector General of Police was so proactive. He visited unannounced and he did a raid on that area. So they made their request, we also made some of our requests, and we arrived at a consensus.
Okay, now I will bring in Adedayo here. Adedayo, you mentioned that there were some concerns when this matter came up. Some Nigerians actually raised some concerns. So what are these concerns?
To the point, the concerns are Nigeria has our own ports, like 6 ports. Correct me if I'm wrong. If Nigeria has 6 ports and we also have the biggest port in West Africa or maybe globally, I don't know, the Lekki Deep Sea Port, why should we be that's why I use the borrow and I use the word lightly, why should we be considering using the Benin port when we have all of this? We have our challenges, we have our concerns. Another challenge, another concern that they have is that in using those ports, okay, are we not transferring jobs to Benin Republic when Nigerians are already looking for jobs? Are we not taking jobs away from Nigerians and giving it to Beninois? Why is our port not efficient? Why is it that we cannot activate either the Calabar port or the Warri port to use? Why use this? Then the myriad problem and the recurring problem of Nigerian port interconnectivity, as he has mentioned, with roads, with rails, is always there. So those are the concerns that they have, that by the time Nigeria becomes so dependent on these Benin ports, what becomes of us if, just the same way we did, we closed our border for reasons best known to us, they decide that they are going to close their border? Then we are back to square one. But all those concerns must be taken into consideration as this framework is being built. There must be a bilateral agreement that would ensure that all of these things are de-risked. Then also, it is very, very important that they mention transit and transmodal translation of goods and services from one port to another. It is very, very important that Nigerian as a country does not remain an island, and we shouldn't exclude ourselves from what is being practiced, especially considering the fact that most of our neighbors, all of our neighbors, are French-speaking. So it is important that whatever it is they are doing, whatever they are tying into, we tie into it as well, because they see us as big brothers, and we must live up to that to be able to tie into this and make sure that when we are doing so, we negotiate a win-win. So those are some of the concerns, and I believe, I don't want to jump the gun, I believe that as this technical committee is working, they will consider this. They are well aware of this because they have done far and wide consultation. And as they are solving the problems, they will be carrying Nigerians along to allay their fears from all of these concerns that have been raised.
Okay. Now, you had some of the concerns he raised. In summary, will it not lead to the neglect of our ports?
I think we need to go and check the trade data and look at the quantum of goods coming into Nigeria through our ports. Then I think we can't even talk about Cotonou port, taking over the jobs of importation in Nigeria. We have bulk importations. We have even the Lekki Deep Sea Blue Port that is coming, seaport that is coming up, has started, and it's expected to be a transshipment hub. So, and I remembered we visited the executive governor of Lagos State, and he talked about the Badagry port that is also coming on. So, from the eastern and western planks, you are seeing ports all over. So, if you see the quantum of trade, the revenue collection, the quantum of trade coming into Nigeria through Apapa, Tinkan, through PTML, through One Port, through Area 1 Port Harcourt Port, I think you wouldn't say Benin Port is taking over the trade in Nigeria. It's just about trade facilitation. It's about collaboration. It's about being the big brothers we are being called. And I think we have reignited that trust between us. And part of those issues they have raised is relationship with even the border communities. We need to also come up with a kind of a policy direction that we will engage, sensitize, and carry all this borders community along. And finally, what we discuss is involvement of private sector in this kind of engagement. So I think in a whole essence, it is a renewed hope in terms of relationship between Benin and Nigeria when it comes to trade facilitation. This is a starting point, and we hope to have things better in the future.
Okay. Now, he has addressed the issues, the concerns you raised there. We we even need more more ports. There's no way it will take over will I say the activities, or will I say the duties of the Nigerian ports, and of course the transfer of trade that of jobs you mentioned, to even create more jobs. Now, Adedayo, in your own opinion, where do you think, or what area do you think there should be fine-tuning in these, talking about the relationship, the agreement, what area do you think attention should be paid to ensure that we maximize the advantage of this relationship?
Thank you very much. I would hammer on technology, communication, that's openness and transparency, as well as efficiency. Technology. Nigeria is equipped and blessed with brains. Our fintech, our agri-tech, our health tech, our young and vibrant Nigerians are available and are ready to solve Nigerian and even African problems. It is very, very important that we put that into consideration. At this point, okay, we shouldn't, and I repeat, we shouldn't be paying for services that we can do, that we can render at home. That is where the concerns about taking the job of Nigerians and dashing it to Beniners come from. Because if we tie into their own facility into existing technology, which I believe is what is being used by all our Francophone neighbors, what it invariably means is that we are going to be paying subscription. Subscription means you are exporting money that one fintech or one tech whiz kid in Nigeria can develop that application, and then our information, our security of our information and data is protected. That is very, very important for us as Nigerians, and it is a nationalistic approach to look at. Secondly, infrastructure, the efficiency of our infrastructure. We have Lekki Deep Sea Port as a transshipment port for now, but at the same time, we should consider how we can make our ports more efficient by adding technology, efficiency, and infrastructure to it.
Thank you very much,
Fourth,
Adedayo. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's it on Nigeria Today. I'd like to appreciate CSC Abdullahi Miwada, PRO Nigeria Customs Service. Thank you very much for your contribution and your time.
It's engaging. It's a pleasure to be with you this night.
And also a very big thank you to Adedayo Dayo Dumoye, a trade consultant and facilitator. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the program. Remember, Nigeria Today airs weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch these episodes and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Once again, thank you for watching. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.